Reggae is synonymous with great bass lines. It's the musical identity of the greatest tunes, the greatest rhythms, the low frequency melody that can travel for miles through brick walls, into your chest, through to your heart, your soul. And of all the most popular or famous reggae bass lines, most of them are melodic or groove based, memorable but relatively uncomplex. They lean more into the feel and sound rather than any technical virtuosity. And some of these most melodic, flowing bass lines have come from players like Family Man Barrett, Flabber Holt, Fully Forward, and Jackie Jackson, and among many others. But on the other hand, someone like Robbie Shakespeare is not known for elaborate bass lines. There are, of course, exceptions to this rule. I'm thinking of something like Concrete Jungle. But some of Robbie's most famous lines are very, very basic in terms of skill and virtuosity. Here are just a few of his most famous bass lines. So as iconic as those three bass lines are, including the Youth of Eglinton, which you can hear in the background now, it's fair to say they're all pretty easy to play and don't require a high level of skill. In fact, it was these easy bass lines that I first learned to play when I was a kid. Yes, that's me about 10 or 11 years old actually playing a Robbie Shakespeare line. And I think because of the simplicity of these lines, Robbie Shakespeare can be sometimes overlooked when there are discussions regarding the best reggae bass players. However, I believe part of his particular approach is that his priority is to complement the drummer, to enhance the drum pattern. So the bass lines we've just heard all happen to feature the drumming of Sly Dunbar. And throughout their partnership, Sly would very often create imaginative and sometimes intricate patterns. In fact, I made a separate video breaking down Sly's approach to drumming. I'll leave a link below. So with Sly filling the rhythmic soundscape, Robbie's playing style would underpin the groove with simple, sparse, sometimes staccato bass lines that would allow their combined sound to create some reggae classics. Conversely, if you think of a song like Concrete Jungle by Bob Marley and the Wailers, a bass line that Robbie actually played, now that's a very different style of bass line compared to the lines Robbie Shakespeare is famous for. The Concrete Jungle bass line is very melodic, big fat rests and pauses that allow the song to breathe. It flows so smoothly, it makes you feel that the song was arranged around Robbie's bass line. So for me, these two separate approaches reinforces my theory that Robbie's style of creating bass line is very sympathetic to the drummer he's playing with, or the chord arrangement of the song he's playing to, which is part of his genius. But there's a song that you may not have heard, a song with a bass line that might just be the hardest reggae bass line to play. It's certainly the trickiest reggae bass line I've come across, and it's a bass line by Robbie Shakespeare himself. Welcome back to Perfect Purple Conversations, and my name's Otis, and I'm going to break down and show you how to play reggae's trickiest bass line. But before we continue, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button to be notified of all the new content and videos. And if you've been here before and haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? You know what to do. This song is featured on the Anthem album by Black Uhuru, released in 1984. It was the first reggae album to win a Grammy Award. Even back then, as a 12-year-old, I was, and I still am, a big fan of the early Black Uhuru. And this album was good. But it wasn't until I heard the remixed version of the album, remixed by Paul Groucho Smykle, I was blown away. Groucho, a genius engineer and producer that had also worked his magic with Eni Kamosi and Grace Jones previously, had taken a good album, remixed it, and made it a cutting-edge masterpiece. Anyway, back to the song. The particular song I'm referring to is called Botanical Roots, a song advocating for natural remedies, natural healing, and a warning against ultra-processed foods or mechanical foods. Over 40 years later, the messaging is still 100% relative and topical even today. So back to the bass line. So on casual listening, the bass sounds like it's doing straight octaves. But on closer inspection, there is a lot more going on, and a fair amount of dexterity is required to execute this bass line. It's a fun bass line to play and a great exercise in and of itself. A line every bass player should learn no matter what genre you specialize in. Today I'm going to break it down note by note and show you how to play it. So let's take a listen to Botanical Roots. This is the remix version, so this is way more exciting than the original, mixed by Groucho Smykle. Sly's playing a very steady groove, which allows Robbie the space to really dominate and be the star of this rhythm section in this particular track. He takes the lead. Yeah, have a listen, and then we'll see you in a moment. So when I hear that, I feel 12 years old again. Okay, so let's break it down. So we're in F sharp minor. I'm playing a 4-string, which I think Robbie used as well, 4-string at the time. So what makes this tricky, the first thing that makes this tricky, because it's in F sharp minor, we've got to use all of our open strings on the open E, open A, and open D. So that changes how you approach it. It's built off of the minor scale and the pentatonic. And it's split into two. You've got the bass line for the chorus and the bass line for the verse. So let's start with the chorus to get our confidence up. So it's quite simple. We go from the A to the F sharp, and it starts on the offbeat. So it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Then it ends. Sorry. There's E, F sharp, A, B, then B, C sharp, E, F sharp. So play it slowly. Again. And in real time, that sounds like this. So the whole line together now. Got that? Let's try again slower. Got it? That's part 1. That's the chorus. Now, this is where it gets kind of spicy. We're going to go for the verse. Now the verse sounds like this. Octaves on the E to the F sharp. E, F sharp, and then we just drop it down an octave. E to F sharp. Using the open string on the big E. That's where a lot of people get it wrong. They think that's the whole bass line. But there's way more detail. I'm going to take you through the detail now. So there's 2 parts of the verse. Let's say there's an A section and a B section. Let's do the A section first. So it has the fundamental, foundational octave section, which is, plays it 3 times. So it's, and on the last time it plays open D to E, open A to the C sharp. So that's D, E, A, C sharp. So let's do that again. So that's 3 foundational octaves. bit slower. That's the A section. Now the B section of the verse has starts off the same with the foundational octaves, but only plays 2 of them this time. So we play, then we go to this new part, which is a open D, E, open A, B, open A, C sharp, back to the open D to E. Let's do that again slowly. D, E, A, B, A, C sharp, D, E. Let's put it together so it makes a bit more sense. So it's, no, sorry, let's go again. Yeah. So I'm going to join that with the foundational octaves. So it's, still with us? Let's try a bit quicker. So, oops. Got it? So we put that together, we've got our chorus. Let's go again. I tell you, that is a workout. I don't know any reggae bass line that difficult. You can get it with a bit of practice, but it takes a bit of work, and it's a great exercise to play. So let's try that with the track. So I've got the track here with the bass muted out, and I'm going to fill in the bass, see if I can keep up. Great intro. Something else I forgot to mention, in terms of the tone we want. Often, most of the time when you see Robbie play, the right hand we don't talk about a lot, but it's very important. So to get the technique and the speed for this line, you can't play it here. There's too much give in the strings. You won't get enough attack. So you need to move your hand back closer to the bridge. So it's harder and you get more attack and more speed. And any videos you see of Robbie, you'll see him playing back here because he likes to get definition and attack in his lines. He's not as heavy as someone like Family Man who will play up here. But what Family Man's sacrificing is speed and speed for tone, for weight, whereas Robbie will sacrifice the weight to get accuracy in his playing. For this line, you'll need to move your hand back here to get that, rather than here. That's too much hard work to do that. Okay. So the next time someone says to you that all of Robbie Shakespeare bass lines are easy to play, you can put them straight. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know if you think of a reggae bass line that's even more difficult to play. Let me know in the comments and let's discuss. Please remember to subscribe and thanks for watching. Until next time, little more.